Hey everybody, welcome back to Connect Live. My name is Brad. This is Mrs. Sonia Edwards and Mrs. Barb Chase. And we are here today on Connect Live discussing education for the Northern New England Conference. Thank you for joining us. And feel free to interact with us by putting comments in the chat part. And if you have any questions, prayer requests, please do so during that part or in that section. So today we're interviewing Mrs. Edwards, Mrs. Barb, and now we want to find out all about education, all that we can do at least in 20 minutes, right? We'll do our best. Okay, so if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, something maybe we don't already know, at least tell us the things that we have to know, and then maybe if you want to throw in an extra thing or two, this just for the cherry on top, if you like.
Okay, I'm Sonia Edwards, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the education superintendent. And I have a passion for Adventist education. I've been an educator for many years, and I just love what I do.
How many years is that?
Well, for the conference, it's been a little over 20 years.
Okay.
But I've also worked in public schools and in other schools as a teaching assistant. That's how I started.
And if I understand correctly, you also taught your own kids at home for some years, is that right?
Yes, 9 years.
Okay, so how many years in all have you been an educator?
35.
Okay, well, that's a few days.
35 years, yeah.
All right, okay.
And
what else?
I've loved it, every minute of it.
So Barb, what do you do here with education?
Okay, so I am an assistant director here at the conference office, and I have been here for a very long time, over 20 years, 22 I think this is my 22nd year. Wow. It's hard to believe, it's gone by fast. Prior to that, I was a social worker, and I worked at a hospital here in Maine. I love working in the conference office. I love the people I work with.
I noticed you pointed to Sonia. You didn't point to me.
Well, you know,
what was going on with
I
that,
also work in the youth department with Trevor Schleichner, and sometimes I do work with Brad.
Yeah, so sometimes.
Yeah. I'm kind of here and there.
Yes. So of all the people who work in the Northern New England Conference office, Barb has been here the longest, by far.
That doesn't make me old.
Oh, I made that mistake last time. Yeah, she's still very young. I think you just had your 22nd birthday.
Absolutely,
just okay.
yeah, forever.
But in any case, that shows that she has been the continuity behind everybody who works here, which has been very helpful.
Amen.
Yep. Okay, now you didn't put the cherry on top yet. Can you say something that maybe we don't know, something, maybe some passion other than Christian education, something else, or just say something else to the folks?
I love spending time with my grandchildren. It's just, those are my favorite moments. And usually we go on a cruise every year with them. This was the first year we went without them, and I'm sad, but had a good time with my husband. I love gardening, just taking care of our property, working outside, planting flowers. I feel like that's when I connect with God the most.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. All right, Barb.
Well, I do have one additional role here in the conference, and that is to work at Pine Tree Academy. So I work with the principal, Brendan Kruger, at PTA, and I have 2 children who have gone to PTA for their entire school years, and I have a husband who I've been married to for 30.
Wow, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to add my husband. Most important part. We've been married for 47 years, so.
Is this a competition? Or
Yes,
something?
I beat you.
No.
But I'm older. I'm older.
Okay. Yes. So, about education, why do we need to have an education department here as a conference, and what function does it have?
Well, it's interesting you ask that question. Some information was presented to us at the union recently about some research that the division's been doing. And basically, they're finding that children who do not attend our schools most likely are not becoming church workers. So when you think about that, that's more the norm. There are exceptions, but when you think about that, that alone is a good reason to have our schools. Is we need future workers for our churches. And if we don't have future workers, what happens to the church?
Wow.
That's one point.
Okay, can I just piggyback off of that?
Yeah.
So we're hearing, and we've been hearing for a little bit, but it seems to be progressing. The need is growing to have people that are pastors and teachers to find them, especially people that are from the United States to help reach the people that live here in this country as well. And it seems that there's a growing need. Is like how many teachers, how many people are graduating with education degrees in our colleges? Not as many. And so what you're saying is so crucial that we need to have our kids in these Adventist schools so that we can later continue to teach them, right? Teach the young people, educate the future.
And pass the mission on to them,
Wow.
you know, and why we're here. I mean, that's one reason, but obviously we want our children to develop a relationship with Christ. And not all of our students in our schools are Adventists or their families. And it may be in our schools that's the only place that they hear about Jesus and developing a relationship with them. We're training our youth to be workers and missionaries for God and preparing for the second coming. And we have a lot more to offer in a sense than public school because we can share our vision and we can prepare our kids not only for being good community workers and workers in our churches, but prepare them for eternity. And that's the ultimate goal.
Wow. I think if I'm remembering correctly, when I walk into PTA, there's a little sign there. Does it say to receive and reflect the sun? Is that correct? To receive and reflect the sun. My kids also go to Pine Tree Academy, one of our 9 schools in this conference. So anything to add, Barb, on that as far as education department? What is the function of the education department? When you say you help out in the education department, as one of the departments you help out, tell me about some of the things that you do in that department.
Well, we do have 3 events that we hold.
3 big events, okay?
Each
What
year.
are those?
Outdoor school.
Okay. What is outdoor school?
So outdoor school, we go to our camp, Camp Laurelweld, and spend a few days there, and the kids do some fun things. It's kind of evolved over the years. At one time we had, they went out to different areas in nature and learned about those specific areas. Since 2020 and the changes that have occurred since then and getting back to doing it outdoor school again, they go more for swimming and kind of like a mini summer camp almost, but it's in the fall. They play games, they do some STEM exercises, group exercises, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun.
So elementary ages from around the conference come to this one location for this outdoor school.
Correct.
So it's really a neat thing because some of the kids are in smaller schools, some are a little bit bigger, so they can meet their peers from around the conference.
They get to socialize together, right? So some of our schools only send their older kids, like 5 to 8, and then some of the smaller schools have all of their students come.
Okay, so that's one big event, outdoor school. How about the next
Art Clinic is another big
Art
event
Clinic?
that we have usually at the end of January, beginning of February. And that is where we have several classes in art that we offer. This year we offered, we have a drama. We have, it's called visual presentation. They create the set, they get the props together, the costumes, everything that it takes to put on that presentation. And we had culinary arts, which students learn to do some cooking. We had watercolor, a drawing class. We even had a felt craft class. And it just turned out great. I don't know if there's some photos on our website, probably under Art Clinic, you can look and see. That's a place you can go and look at. We'll double check with Dustin.
Yeah,
that there's
Dustin,
some
can we double check
pictures,
with you right now?
But
Dustin.
I don't have a way to do it right now.
Okay.
Okay,
but
well-
I know that we've had pictures like that
we
on
have.
the line.
We have. But anyway, it's a really great program. Again, kids from our conference, but also outside of our conference come to that. We have homeschoolers that come. We have students from public school that come, and
Oh, really?
and then from our own conference schools, and sometimes from schools outside our conference. We have schools that come from Massachusetts and elsewhere.
New York sometimes, right? So, and then music clinic, right? Is it the next, the
Yes,
third
so
big? Okay.
Music Clinic is our third event that we have, and I'm just saying that because it's the calendar year that we're going
Yeah.
through.
School year.
School year. Music Clinic is again open to our own Northern New England Conference students, but also outside of our conference. And this year, we did have a little hiccup this year because we had a snowstorm that was, poorly timed, but
It's almost like we live in Maine or something.
but it all worked out. We still moved forward with, some changes that were made to make it happen. But we had schools from Massachusetts. We had South Lancaster Academy. We had a school from Nova Scotia, Sandy Lake Academy come. We had Union Springs Academy from New York. Those were just the 3 academies in addition to our own Pine Tree that were there. But we had Bayberry Christian from Massachusetts, just a variety of students. They come and they can participate in choir, youth choir, band, strings, and then piano. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it because, like you mentioned earlier, you can have people from public schools, homeschools,
Yes, definitely.
people from all within the conference, people outside the conference, and it gives an opportunity to see that we're all together, we're all one
Right.
family, and I really like that. Probably the highlight for me, probably everybody, during the music clinic when Mr. Brendan Kruger stands up in the middle of the whole gym, how he does, and he's conducting everybody at once,
Awesome.
The grand finale.
the grand
Grand
finale
finale.
for every group you just mentioned, the choir and string, everybody, and it's just
It's amazing.
It's just awesome.
It gives you goosebumps.
yes,
And I'd like to add to these programs, I need to say this, the powerhouse behind them really is Barbara. I mean, it's all 3 programs, I feel like they're well-oiled machines is the best way I can describe it. It's so organized, and Barbara's there taking care of registration, making sure all the pieces are in place. We have places for people to stay. I mean, that we have good food available, that there are helpers, helping in all the different departments. And I mean, I go to her for help with this. And she knows her stuff. And I honestly don't know how we would do it without her. So I'm very grateful
Absolutely.
to Barbara.
yeah, and it helps that the people too.
Yeah.
That's very easy to work with organizing.
We have a lot of schools that come year after year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm usually in charge of discipline during these events.
Oh, that fun part.
But we have had very little discipline problems since COVID. I mean, to me, it blows me away that we can have, how many at Music Clinic? Was that over 300?
Participants, that's including
Participants.
adults.
Wow.
And yet, very few discipline issues. Everybody goes where they're supposed to go. They're working hard. They're all participating, and very seldom. I can think of only 2 times maybe in all of our programs since I've been superintendent that there's been an issue that I felt like I really had to deal with, which is amazing.
That's very encouraging. Well, if you put everybody to work in good things, and then
They're
less time for the bad
engaged.
things.
They
yeah.
seem to love it. They look forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about some big things, but what about the big vision? What would you like to see going forward for Adventist Christian education in the Northern New England Conference? If you want to speak to the broader scope beyond this conference, feel free to do so. But what is your vision for Adventist education here as a conference?
Well, I think my biggest, I guess you would call it a vision, desire, is to have all of our churches participate with our schools in some way, whether it's praying for our schools or even having churches that don't have schools adopting one of our schools and maybe helping, financially. We have a lot of students who are on financial aid, tuition. It is expensive because our teachers all are required to be certified, and they're constantly going through professional development. Most of our teachers have their master's degrees, so they're very professional teachers, and they're hired by our conference, and there are certain requirements. We need to pay them what their worth is. So, the subsidy goes up to pay for them. And it would be great if every church were involved with our schools in some form or another, whether it be praying, supporting them financially, or volunteering, finding where your closest school is and sharing your talents. I've had retirees come in and teach my students how to sew. And that's a life skill that they've brought with them, that they're using now as adults. Everybody can get involved. Everybody has talents. Everyone has gifts. And I feel like if our churches have no future, as our union president has shared, then without our schools, then we need to focus on our schools as never before. Really lay them on the altar of Christ and put our whole hearts and souls. In other words, be all in for Adventist education. That's my biggest vision and goal, is just to get everyone on board.
Wow. Okay, so if there's a church right now that's listening, someone of a church family, they're hearing what you just said, was kind of like an appeal to go up the next level. Let's say there's a church that doesn't have a school locally, but they have a desire to help young people in Adventist education in this conference. They could probably start off something as little as children's story time, having the money that's collected during that time to go towards helping a school of their choice, maybe the one that's closest to them, or maybe the conference school, Pine Tree Academy, whatever. They can start there, right?
And some of our churches are doing that. They actually collect a children's offering, and they share where that is going, and that has helped some of our schools tremendously. So when we're saying help financially, we're not asking to be a constituent church or take on any debt or that kind of thing, just what they can afford and how they can help.
Yeah, I think that's actually very healthy. A lot of times we as Christians, we give to other places that are helping very worthy causes, but we should not forget our own children here.
Right.
Just because we don't have a school that it meets within a few miles away. We do have one that meets here, and we have 9 that meet here.
Right, right.
In this very conference, and we really need to support home while supporting away as well. And we need to do both and not one or the other. And I think that's the way that God will bless us. Okay, I know time is really going by fast. So before we go, I'm just going to turn to you, Sonia. So would you talk about future plans for yourself? And
oh dear.
So I see a big smile on your face. I'm not sure how to interpret that, but yeah, Barb and I just want to support you and maybe any future plans you have to share with us as a conference family.
Well, as much as I love what I do, I have really felt impressed over the past year, actually, that it's time for me to retire. I feel like I've given my all to education, and that has left my husband kind of taking a back seat, and that's been for many years, as you know, I've shared. So I feel like I need to give him some time. And so I will be retiring the end of June, but not totally out of the picture. My plan is to help support our new superintendent that we did choose. His name's Mark Bugbee.
Okay.
And one of the things that we liked about him a lot is that he's taught for many years in multi-grades, and if 8 of our schools are multi-grade schools, we figure that individual needs to have a strength in that area. He's also an administrator, and really hands-on, get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves type of guy, which will be a great benefit to our schools. So I will be around part-time supporting him and getting him going through September. And then who knows from there? I mean, I could be volunteering, I could be subbing occasionally. I still plan to be involved somehow because I really have a burden for our educational system. But I'm looking forward to some time with my husband.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, so I would like to say that on behalf of the Northern New England Conference, we want to thank you for your many years of service. And I can personally say I haven't been taught by you, but I can say that it's been a pleasure to support you and everything you're doing. You're doing the hard work, so many meetings all the time. Like you said, Keith has taken a back seat, and we want to thank Keith. I'm not sure if he's going to watch this. Thank you, Keith, and we know that you're looking forward to having your wife back. Anyway, but I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Well, and I know there's so many young people that are very grateful to you and that have been blessed through your leadership, and so many teachers are so very happy that they have had your support. And I'm sure some of them will be calling you going forward.
Well, I've been blessed working with them. I have to say, I just love working. We have a great team here in the office, out in the schools, out in the field. I just feel we are blessed as a conference, and I'm just praising God that I could be a part of it.
Amen.
Such a privilege.
I have been blessed here in the conference to be able to work with Sonia from the office when she was still a teaching principal.
Yeah, it's been many years.
So it's been many years that we've known each other, so it's been a blessing.
Wow. Would you mind having a special prayer for the Edwards for this transition
all.
time?
Not at all.
So, and then maybe after the prayer, maybe before the prayer, do you have anything you want to say to the camera, one of these cameras, just maybe appeal for the future?
I just really am praying that everyone in our conference will do everything in their power to support our schools and to support our homeschoolers, because that's Christian education as well. And we need you. We desperately need your prayers, your support, your talents, your gifts. And I'm looking forward to the day that when we all can go, we'll be in heaven and Jesus can say to us, well done. And looking at all of our children that we have been blessed to serve.
Amen. Let's pray together.
Okay.
Dear Jesus, thank you so much for Sonia. Thank you for her contribution to your work here in Northern New England. Thank you for her contribution here in this office, and especially to the students that she has taught throughout the years. Lord, I just ask that you be with her. Please keep her in good health, and please help her to enjoy some time with her husband and doing some of the things that she would like to do personally. We ask that you continue to be with her and her family. In your name I pray. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.